Hi everyone, Michelle again from MRC Creation Cakes. Alright, so we've taken it out of the oven. It has cooled for a couple of minutes now. When you know it might be ready, is if you pick up one side and it seems to come away, which is what we want. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to very carefully flip it over. Now there are different ways. This is just the way that I tend to do it. I tend to just roll it back and very carefully with my hand, I just carefully press down, making sure that everything's coming off cleanly, that there's hopefully no breakages. And voila, there we go. So now there's our finished piece of cake lace. It is still a little bit gummy on there, so you just need to be careful that you're not going to tear it or anything like that. So if I can pick it up carefully, you can see the gradation colours through it, which is gorgeous. Now what we're going to do, this is the side that is actually going to be out to us on the cake. So what I've done is I've prepared a cake. Here's one I prepared earlier. Now I have brushed it with water. That's all we're going to need. So I'll just re-dampen some of it. Now you can basically have the cake already finished. You can have writing on the board, you can fondant your board like I have, and then do your cake. Now the only thing I sort of do stress on this part is make sure that your cake is as what you would do if it was just a cake with nothing on it. So it needs to be very flat around the sides, no bubbles, because that will actually affect the lace going onto the cake. You can still get like an air bubble underneath it and it won't sit flush to the cake. So we're just going to make sure that's all nice and moist. Not overdone, whatever you do, not overdone. So have it, turn the cake to the way that it's going to be presented. We'll just push that off there. We're going to grab this now, and with your trusty pizza cutter, you're going to sort of, now what you can do is you can measure it, you can put your ruler down on it and cut it. I do prefer to do that. So basically from tip to tip, you're looking at around 10 inches. So if we say we're going to do it around the 5-inch mark, which is here, you can sort of just put your finger there. You sort of know where it's going to be. And then with your pizza cutter, we're just going to cut it. And you can hear it crunch, crunch, crunch. And keep it going. And just slowly pry it apart to make sure that you have got a beautiful clean cut, which we do. And carefully take off your ruler. Now, to place it on. So we have two beautiful halves. If you think that you need to cut any more off or anything like that, do so now. But you've got a nice straight edge there. So you take your best one because that's going to be shown out to the front of the cake. And carefully, and just test your cake. Yes, it's still a little bit wet, so which is good. Because the cake lace, it's similar to me as what fondant is. So when it gets wet, it dissolves. If I was to put any water on this now, it would start dissolving. So you do need to be a little bit careful. So we're just going to take it, make it flush to the bottom of our cake. And just do a wrap and just softly but firmly press it in. And as you can see, we've got about a beautiful inch lip on it. And just press it down around. There's that side done. And now with this side, what I tend to do, I'm just going to press that in to make sure that all of the markings, you won't see them too much. Now you can do it half-half, so you can actually cut it down here, make sure, or you can just keep on going. And what I do is I just sort of carefully just measure it. Where my finger is, I'm just going to mark it a little bit. Cut it down. That's the side we're going to discard. This is the side we're going to use. Now, like I said before, with water, it dissolves it, but you want it to bleed in a little bit. So I'm just going to brush just on the outside part of the lip there very carefully. Do that on the same on the other side, just so it starts melting a little bit. And that also gives my overlap something to glue to, something to adhere to. Just like that. Let's see if I can show you. So as you can see, some of the water, when I've brushed it, has bled some of the colour, but that's fine. So then what we're going to do is we're just going to take this very carefully, place it on, just apply a little bit of pressure, and where need be, so some of this is sticking out, just get your paintbrush with a little bit of water on it. Just apply the water to where it's going to be. Press down. And then you can just keep on applying a little bit of water. And I'll be back to show you the finished product.